Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick here and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're back with the OG King Clorox in GTA Online. Now, in last video, we bought a bunch of businesses and most of them are just sitting around generating nothing for me and taking up space for my properties. So, why don't we set up these businesses? I started by going to the nightclub because that's been sitting there for a while and although I don't need it, I need to start it up to get the terabyte. So I drove to my nightclub in my lime green convertible and walked inside to find a man in his late 30s that has merged into a 60s greaser teenager. I also find No Chin Tony looking glorious as always, and I have to sit through this 5-minute cutscene. The cutscene eventually finishes, and I have 3 setup missions to do. The first one is staff, the second one is equipment, and the third one, I have to get a DJ. So I start the staff mission and pick up 3 people. First of all, I'm not a goddamn Uber. All of these people that I picked up weren't more than a mile away, so they could have just done anything else. Walk? Use their own car? God forbid they get there on their own? Second of all, this is 3 people to run my entire staff. How is my business gonna get by when I have 3 people running operations? After I drop off my staff, my next mission is equipment. For this mission, I have to travel to Burning Man and gun down a bunch of hippies. Actually, that second part wasn't required, but they were hippies, so we didn't really lose any valuable people. After that, I have to steal this bus because it has all of the music equipment we need on it. I find that there's a couple people on top of the bus, and so I gun down the woman and beat the man in the fedora. No one wears a fedora on my bus. If you're watching this right now and wearing a fedora, you're just too much of a Chad to be a part of this community. Even King Clorox isn't at fedora level. Anyways, I steal the bus and take it back to my nightclub. Now all that's left is to get a DJ. We booked this dude named Solomon who flies in and we have to pick him up. As you can see by the exciting gameplay, these missions are action-packed, thrilling tasks. Something finally happens when we go to the airport to pick him up, and his plane flies right over the airport. This is because the pilot of Solomon's plane starts vibing hard to some music and stops flying the plane, leaving Solomon to
fucking die.
We had to chase Solomon down to an airfield up in Redneck County, and the plane was magically able to land without any damage. We pick Solomon up, and the pilot just goes back into his plane, and everyone acts like nothing happened. I mean, the dude almost died, but whatever. We drove Solomon back to the nightclub, and that was the final setup mission. Now my nightclub is popping off, and I can tell from the flashing lights everywhere. Here in my nightclub, we hate people with epilepsy, and we want nothing to do with them. After that is all said and done, I went outside and bullied my security guard, and called it a day. The next day I got back on GTA and saw that there was a business battle. This is perfect because I just set up my nightclub and this would be a decent start to getting supplies. The game told me to go over to Simeons Dealership and hack this security panel. I drove over there in my buzzard but saw that there was someone in a scramjet that was already there. I decided not to take my chances and I pretended to fly away when I was really just hiding behind a building. Yes, I know. I have many IQs. I waited for him to hack the security panel and once he did, he died pretty damn quickly. So I slid right in, killed all of the guards, and stole the cargo. I then outran the dude in the scramjet and drove to my nightclub. I'm going to call this a 5-star operation and move on. Next, I set up my biker business, which is not really setting up, but just sitting through a cutscene. After that, I bought myself a fancy little mom and pop Coke lockup and a terabyte. I didn't really interact with either of them and just moved on to the next thing because King Clorox can't focus on one thing for more than 20 minutes. Now, in the last video, I bought the arcade and Lester informed me about a super secret heist that he wanted to pull off. I put it aside for another day, and today is that day. This part in the video picks up right where I bought the arcade last video, so these order of events are a little bit out of order. But who really gives a shit? So after the cutscene, I walk over to my computer and started the arcade setup. I started the mission by getting in my buzzard and going over to this Go Posto building. There, I found a bunch of dead UPS workers and a bunch of packages. It was a massacre. Lester found out that the truck with the equipment was jacked, and I had to go retrieve it. Once I found the truck, I drove it off the road and killed the dudes that stole it. After that, I delivered it to my arcade and the mission was complete. I walked back inside my arcade and found a very underwhelming 4 machines that were all the same game, and Pothead Jimmy setting them up. We walked downstairs and Lester had a stroke and wrote a bunch of strange gibberish on the board. After that cutscene, I went right on and started with the first setup, which is scoping out the casino. This one is pretty damn boring. The whole mission was me sending vantage points and important factors to Lester. That's the entire mission. I also had the option to send optional extra photos to Lester of other important factors that would help with the heist, but since this was my first time running the heist ever, I said, oh, I probably don't need that. Little did I know know that that decision would kind of bite me in the ass. The next setup was vault contents. For this mission, I had to start off by going to the pier and searching for a security guard. When I found him, I gunned him down and his buddy without thought and picked up his phone. As I'm going through the footage, I was supposed to be near him and hack his phone instead of just ending him. Even if I knew that, I would have probably killed him anyways, because it gets me a little bit closer to my life goal of genocide. Once I lost the cops, I went back to the casino and located the signal to my security cameras where the vault was. I'm pretty sure that the vault contents for the first time around is always cash, and that is what I got. If you don't know what the different vault contents are, in order from best to worst is cash, art, gold, and diamonds. We don't need to worry about diamonds though, because I have a surplus of them on my Minecraft account. Diamonds covered. After I found out about the vault contents, I flew away and completed the mission. Next, I looked at the 3 support crew categories. The categories are the gunman, the driver, and the hacker. I decided that I wanted to get the best gunman available to me, and that was Gustavo Mota. I got the best gunman because for the first time around and the only time around, I wanted to go aggressive just so I could complete all 3 ways of the heist. If you do complete all 3 ways to do it, you get a nice 300k bonus. Next, I got the worst driver because, well, you don't really need a good driver. Just any car would work really. Also, it's weird how he's the worst driver when he gives you the best cars in the game, the Issy Classics. It can't really get much better than that. I also got all the signal jammers off camera, and that gave me the best hacker, Avi Schwartzman, who we saw a little cameo of in the Pack Standard heist. So I found this guy who offered to do the rest of the prep work with me, as well as the heist. He told me that we really only needed to do 2 of the optional preps, dug in shipments, and reinforced armor. I have zero fucking clue if this is plausible, but I just trusted him and went with it. But of course, these aren't the only missions we have, but all of these as well. We started by doing the shotgun loadout mission, and we were instructed to go to this beach to find some smugglers. I offered to take him there with my buzzard, but he said he had to go somewhere to make the mission easier. I don't even know. But we took out the guards and got into this plane. Now this is peak gameplay. After we delivered the plane and completed the mission, we decided to steal the Sentinel Classics. We drove over to this hotel, and there were 3 valets that we had to spook. Although I shot a gun in the air, the 3rd valet wanted to be a hero because he doesn't care about his life anyways, and I beat his ass. I also went up to 20 strength, so if you want to box King Clorox, I would reconsider, just saying. After that, we changed our outfits into valets and walked to the front of the hotel. Then some drag racers showed up, and we stole their cars and drove right back to the arcade. Never trust valets, guys. No matter who they are, they're always out to get you. That's why I do my part of murdering the valet ruthlessly every time I go to the casino. The next mission was the hacking device, where we fly to La Puerta and we see a bunch of cops and detectives. Lester says deal with them as you see fit, and that seems to give my friend the signal to absolutely destroy them in a matter of 2 seconds. I had a different plan where we would charm all the cops and take them somewhere tropical, like the Bahamas or somewhere in the Caribbean. I would then ask all of them to marry me separately and have 20 different weddings. I would make them change all of their last names to Clorox, and when we would sign the marriage papers, I would swap them out quickly with adoption papers. So then I would legally be the father of 20 men, and at that point I would ground all of them from their security passes because they misbehaved. No more security passes if you can't control yourself. After I had the security passes, I would burn the house down, trapping them inside and watching the house burn with a little cute grin on my face. I think that plan would have worked better, but whatever. So once we get the security passes, we head inside this FIB building and head up a floor. There we walk around trying to get a high enough signal to find the hacking device. Once we find it, we have a little shootout on the first floor because that bitch Deborah, the receptionist, fat shamed me. We take the device back to the arcade and finish the setup. The next setup we did was vault key cards. For this one we had to hijack this prison bus, and as I'm having flashbacks to a very dark time, Lester tells us to go to the prison. My PTSD from the prison break heist gets more intense, but I snap out of it as my teammate knocks out the guard. We then have to leave the area, and we complete the setup quite smoothly and frictionless. After that, my teammate tells me to buy a scuba suit, and so I spend $160,000 on a reasonably priced red scuba suit. We then drive back to my arcade, where I start the next setup, dug in shipments. So for this one, we have to destroy 10 shipments, and I get in my buzzard and go to town, screaming maniacally the entire time. After all of the various shipments are destroyed, we complete the setup and I reach level 40. The next setup I start is vault explosives. In this one, we have to go to Polito Cove, and so once again, I fly there. When we get there, there are some guards having a nice fishing trip, and we can't have this, so we kill them all. After that, we take some boats out to this area where we see more boats that we shoot down. We then swim deep below into the depths of the sea, and we find this plane wreckage that we have to search through to find vault explosives. Why were these guys moving around vault explosives in a plane? I don't know, and I don't care. After we get the explosives, my teammate gets in a submarine, and I'm left to the dogs. I get shot down by helicopters, which is not a good sign if you didn't know. From where I spawn, I tried to snipe the helicopters, not knowing that it would just spawn more. I give up and swim out to the explosives, and my friend picks me up. Now we're in the home stretch. We drive to the side of the pier and get in the buzzard that I parked and completed the setup. The next setup is thermal charges. For this one, we have to go to Popular Street, and in our sexy scuba suits, we take out a bunch of dudes. We then break into this building, and it appears that they have taken over a large crate warehouse. Well, that won't stand, and we killed all of the guards and take the thermal charges. After that, we fly away casually as if we haven't killed 50 men for some thermal charges so we can make a few bucks, and we finish the setup. The final setup is reinforced armor. This technically isn't the final setup, but it's the final one that my teammate says we should do. Anyways, we start it, and for this one, we start by going to the Merriweather bunker. We head inside the bunker, and again, it seems as if they have taken a liking to taking over businesses owned by players. We kill all of the Merriweather guards in this hot, bland cave that they define a bunker. We then get our armor, even though we could have gotten it at ammunition, and we leave. We then drive to the arcade and complete the final setup. Now, I'm not going to waste your time with the heist because sadly at the end of the heist, as we were driving away in our helicopter, because there was this glitch that you could do with the helicopter, my teammate lags out of the game and we fail. But I don't even have the footage for some reason, so it doesn't matter too much. Next episode, we will be finishing the arcade heist and then doing something else. What that is, I don't know. But with that, I hope you all like this video, and I'll see you in the next video.